And to your point about that identitarianism being bad in and of itself, being a relic of the liberal worldview, if you say that identity is wrong, then the right has nothing to stand on. That's what I'm deriving from what you're doing. And the fascinating thing that I've been sussing out and making up my mind about the classical liberal, or I kind of want to call them gay race liberals at this point, because they're just the colorblind 1990s liberalism that was totally hunky dory for America, for a certain class of Americans at a certain point in history that is just emblazoned into our imagination. They have a extremely bad or allergic reaction to the right. To the right talking about two things, identity and power. And I think that they misunderstand the right, or this is my intuition, they misunderstand the right's relationship to identity and power. And they only think in terms of the leftists' relationship to identity and to power. I'm wondering if you can talk more, and I've been trying to articulate this too. What is the right's relationship to power? What is the right's relationship to identity? You said organic identities, but also to power, because that's what is making the centrists so wary. They do not want anybody in charge. They want things to just chill out, get along. Costco runs, gas is cheap, et cetera, et cetera. And anybody can be anybody on any television show. So they're really wary of the right. And I think at this point, this is a very critical juncture to make the case to the centrists that actually you have to accept a certain amount of power and a certain amount of authority and a certain amount of our hierarchy and a certain amount of identity for any of this stuff to work.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I guess we can sell it to them, but I don't, I have been making this case for a long time, so I'm running out of new and novel ways to apply this. But it's pretty simple. You believe you aren't ruled, and you're wrong, right? Like the liberal lie is that politics is over, that we have reached the end of history, that we set this clockwork mechanism above us called a constitution. It's full of all of our favorite principles. And once you've put this like novel piece of political technology into place, then the country more or less runs itself. And so it's not liberals running things, it's not conservatives running things, it's the Constitution, right? And that's all of our institutions are neutral, and they simply optimize for efficiency, and that's really all we want, right? Because we'll let you guys hash out the weird moral stuff on TV shows somewhere or something. But when it comes to governance, we've got smart scientific people operating these these institutions and in the favor of the whole thing. And because
our schools will educate, not indoctrinate your children.
Right. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. And so when you have that worldview, then you see any expression of power as a violation of your independence, your autonomy. You're not ruled by anybody. But this is always a lie, right? And this is just Curtis Yarvin's point. He said, the ape wants to think that it is free. That feels good. If, your ape brain says, oh, well, I am free. I am, there's no one in charge of me. In another way, this is the oldest sin in the book, right? You shall be as gods. You're there's no one above you. There's no kings, no gods. It's just you.
No kings.
It's just right. And you make the rules, right? And but that's just never true. In fact, there are plenty of rules. In fact, there's an oppressive deluge of rules that are coming out of the system. But because you can't point to one man and say he made the rules, well, then we all made the rules. And
even the person that's enforcing the rules, you can't point at. Exactly. He just points to somebody else.
Right. And so that's the delusion. But it was always a delusion because in the background, interests were always operating. Every system operates for something. The purpose of the system is what it does. And so when you see a system consistently producing an outcome, you should probably wonder why. Because even if it tells you it's neutral, but it consistently comes up with a different outcome than neutral, then, well, the person in charge probably isn't neutral. that's probably not true. And someone is definitely in charge. And so this is just the thing that the Squishy Center has to get over. It's not whether, but which. Someone will be in charge. Someone will rule. We will have a culture. We will have an ideology. We will have a belief system. We will have an identity. These things are going to happen. And it's not a question of will they happen. It's a question of who will decide.